You're watching a production of South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
On this episode of Dakota Life, we're on the road with a pair of professional ghost hunters to see some haunted sights. Hi, welcome to Dakota Life. I'm Larry Rohr. Almost every community in the state has its haunted house, park, or cemetery. On this special edition of Dakota Life, we're going to visit some of these locations to see if we can learn more about the stories behind the legend. But we're not going alone. We'll have the help of two professional ghost hunters with us on this trip. South Dakota Public Broadcasting's Kevin Patton is here to introduce us to this pair of paranormal pros.
Chills and cold breezes and
Meet Chad Lewis and Terry Fisk, paranormal investigators, authors, and co-founders of the company Unexplained Research. Chad and Terry are dedicated to investigating and researching the paranormal and the unexplained.
My initial interest in the paranormal came from UFOs and alien abductions. This was about 14 years ago when you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing something about UFOs or alien abductions. And again, I became interested in the belief of so many people thinking they've been abducted by an extraterrestrial being. That why is this? What's going on? What's making these people believe it? Is there something to it?
I've always had an interest in this topic, and it's only in recent years that it really blossomed when I was in a cemetery with my brother, and we were taking pictures of the family graves, and there was a gravestone of our great-great-grandparents. I took a picture of that gravestone, and then I asked my brother to take a picture of me standing behind the grave, which he did. Later, when we examined the photos, the photo of the grave itself was normal, but the photo of me standing by the grave showed what appeared to be a bluish-white mist that seemed to be coming out of the grave and surrounding me. And once I saw that picture, I became curious as to whether or not there could be evidence of an afterlife.
Well, my background's actually in psychology, and when I was an undergraduate student, I became interested in why people believe or why they don't believe in the paranormal. What is it about human perception or human belief systems that make some people believe in the paranormal and others why they don't? So I started researching that and presenting my findings at research symposiums, and people would come up to me and say, I know this isn't really what you're doing, but I think my home may be haunted, or I saw something in the skies last night that I can't explain, or there's a creature running around the woods in my backyard. Could you help me investigate it?
I decided to go to a conference and to meet Chad and show him the picture and get his opinion, and he was interested, and so together we started traveling around the state and around the Midwest, investigating other haunted locations.
Chad and Terry's investigations inspired them to write several books, including one on haunted locations in South Dakota. In their home state of Wisconsin, they host a radio and television program that allows people to call in and get advice about the paranormal.
They may not necessarily be even believers in the paranormal. They may say to themselves, I don't know if ghosts exist, I don't know if UFOs are here, but you know what, I'm really curious, and I like to have fun with this.
Chad Lewis and Terry Fisk got together with our Dakota Life crew and decided to tour some of these allegedly haunted hotspots. First, they get together with Stephanie Rissler to visit a house in Vermilion that well, hasn't always been a home. You'll see what I mean as Stephanie and the ghost hunters try to figure out just who and what all may be residing in this Vermilion house.
I do try and keep it low key because I feel like I'm crazy because I don't really believe in ghosts necessarily, and but there are a lot of things that happen here I can't explain.
We've all heard stories about haunted houses. In fact, some of you might have experiences of your own or have heard those scary bump in the night sounds. Imagine living in a house that used to be a hospital. Well, that's the reality for Mike from Vermilion. His home, located in the historic district, used to be one of Vermilion's first hospitals in the early 1900s. But according to Mike, those patients that used to call this place a hospital now call it home.
Everything has been almost prankster-like, you know, because like the TV stories, I can't tell you how many times I'd come down the stairs, the TV would go down, and you'd almost go the other way and to go back up. I pulled up outside in my pickup. I looked over to the house, and I saw a little boy sitting on the back steps, and he looked really sad. He was kind of sitting there with his head down. And as I'm probably 20, 25 feet away, he turns his head real slow and kind of looks at me and gets this smirk on his face, you know, kind of a, I'm going to freak you out kind of a grin. And as soon as we pretty much made eye contact for just a moment, the kid was gone. And I've seen shadows, heard voices, water turning off and on, things like that.
According to Mike, much of the activity would pick up whenever changes would be made to the house itself.
I was redoing the wood floors with a floor sander, and we'd vacuum pretty much behind me to try and keep the dust down from getting all over the rest of the house. The hose was up in the air, moving across the floor, like you'd be holding it and vacuuming up the sawdust. It was doing this, and it did this while not only out of the corner of my eye, but I turned and looked at it, and I saw moving across the floor like this, and I went, all right.
Well, I know Chad and Terry, they're going to be here tonight. They're going to bring all of their equipment, so we'll definitely come in this room, and we'll see if there's anything in here.
Hi.
Mike. Hey, I'm Chad.
Hi, Chad.
Nice to meet you.
I mean, it wasn't like a blurry kid. It wasn't like a ghost like you would imagine. It was like, well, there's a kid.
After a quick briefing, the searching for answers begins.
We just want you to ask if there are any spirits or any ghosts or any what you will. They're here to make themselves known or to do something that you'll be able to recognize.
Any spirits or anything are here. These guys were just curious if you could show us any kind of a sign or do anything in the house or play some of your regular tricks on me. We'd sure enjoy it.
Considering the weather right now, if I find any cold spots, it would be suspicious.
They talk about cold spots of a room being suddenly chilled or suddenly it gets very cold in there when the rest of the house is boiling. And with equipment like that, not only can you have somebody say, yes, I'm right in the middle of a cold spot, but now you can verify it. A home of this age, it would have been very common, not only for someone to have died here, but their wake would have been held here, and most likely the funeral would have been held here. So death was very common in homes like these. So even without the background of this being a hospital, you still might have some weird or unique history to a home of this age. I find that a lot of investigations, it's very helpful just to stop for a moment, relax, get it dim, dark, and just listen and try to experience something. If there is some spirit or entity of any sort here that would like to make itself known, certainly this would be the time or the place to do it. You could go ahead, make an odd noise, move something, anything that you'd like.
On this night, nothing was seen or heard, but there is no doubt Mike and his family believe they have definitely experienced something in this house, even if Mike doesn't want to seriously admit it.
He was just going out for fun, right? Because we had a little talk with the ghost earlier. Said, if you don't want these guys to come here, start putting the candles out. So I know I shook this one. Well, I shook this one and the wax got it. I guarantee that. That one's empty, yes. Yeah, we're not paranoid or anything. If they're trying to communicate, I don't know what they're trying to tell me. I don't think so. I think they're just doing their thing. Not that I believe in this. Yeah, I just think if they are here, they're just here and not hurting anything.
Well, while Chad and Terry didn't find anything on their preliminary visit, they say it usually takes a few days of investigation to really understand a haunted house, even if it used to be a hospital. And while the thought of the medical care given at that nearly century-old hospital may be cringe-worthy, it doesn't compare to the horror that took place in a nature preserve just across the border in Iowa. Gitche Manitou Park is a place of beauty, but that image was tarnished by blood from an incident nearly 30 years ago. Melissa Hammersma-Sievers has the story of the lure of nature and the lore of men gone mad.